When I was a kid, I would come home at night. I'd come home after school and I'd go and play, and I'd be very nervous as the night came on because my parents were inevitably drinking excessively. And I didn't know on any given night if my father was going to pass out or just yell and scream or beat me or rape me. But when I was 15 years old, when I was 15, 16 years old, he took an ad out in a newspaper in Buffalo, New York, and said, "Does anyone want to take my kid?" And one person responded, and we drove up, and he dropped me off, and he drove out of the city, and then my family drove out of the state, and they just left me. They went to New Jersey. My senior year, my hockey coach's wife actually suggested I stay with them, and so I moved in, and he had a daughter who was like the best, and so I totally fell in love with her, and we've been together 35 years, which is an amazing story. I did some really interesting work in water and sanitation. I lived in Africa for 16, 17 years. And loved it, but I had a real opportunity to sort of give back to my community that I had been avoiding for a very long time. I've inherited an amazing organization with an amazing history that has historically been ahead of the curve, and that is the deepest honor I could ever have personally. We have built a team and a community of people that reach back 113 years that will not give up on kids ever.
In 1904, the first Colorado Christian Home Association was formed, and they built this building, and it cost all of $3,100.
$3,100 to build this beautiful home. Who were the kids who were here first? These 15 kids, who were they?
Oh, they were the children of people where mama had died and daddy didn't know how to take care of them, or the other way around, and the living parent had to work.
Yep.
And so they put the kids here.
I think, when you took over, that was still the storyline, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, you still had a lot of kids with no parents or...
Yes, half of the kids in 1970 were kids where one of the parents wasn't able to function or they didn't have parents.
Yeah.
I learned about the Tennyson Center from Dr. James Tilsley, who was the director of the home from 1949 to 1965. He visited all over Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, and came to our church every year and talked about the children's home. So we went out and had tours. On that tour, a kid came up to me and said, man, hold me." Well, at 15 or whatever I was, I had never been called a man before. And when I saw Dr. Tilsley that fall, when he was in Kansas, I said, "Why are you letting this happen? That kid really needs something." And he said, "Well, they've just taken old ministers like me who are doing the best we can because we haven't had the young people to get the training they need to do it right." So that was the planting of the seed. Dr. Tilsley was my advisor through college, and I went to graduate school for social work.
When you came as a staff member, what were the changes you saw between then and when you took over? Because it changed a lot.
It changed a great deal. We were the first program, I think, in Colorado that really began to incorporate the entire family and to understand that if you wanted to know what was going on with the child, you need to understand that child in the context of their family and their history and all that they've been through. The families today need something very different than the families of 50 and 60 years ago, 100 years ago. And we've stayed relevant because we pay attention to what the community is asking us to do for families. And I think that's why this whole notion of no child wait is so important, because kids shouldn't be waiting for care, and we need to be doing something about it. And people have been wringing their hands for a long time, saying, "Well, there's really nothing we can do about that," and we need to change that story.
Tennyson has reintegrated kids who society has given up on for 113 years. And so what we're doing now is we are building on the tremendous foundations laid right here behind this brick of every kid forever. We are going to facilitate, we are going to directly serve, and we're going to work with others in a way that says not one kid in Colorado is going to fall through the crack ever again. It's not going to be Tennyson by itself. It's going to be all of us working together in a fundamentally different way. And we are going to build on the immense talent and foundation and beauty built by the Coopers and the Brewers and the Warrens and the Tillsleys and all.
Now, I recently said to somebody, I felt like I was in over my head most of the time. But intuition worked for me, and it worked for the kids. And we were able to accomplish things that the books said couldn't be done.
You know, you recognize that there's a lot of pain and hurt in some of those families, and so my emotions about this place are more about the people that work and the people that support.
I'm Ann Kramer, my husband is Kelly Kramer, and we bought this home in 1998. And we knew from the beginning that about the roots.
This is the picture we have in the book.
For the Children Treatment Center with Loveland Origins now helps hundreds of youths a year.
Wow.
And now it helps hundreds of non-youths.
Yeah.
The purpose of the house is still continuing to serve people who can't, especially Loveland is very expensive now. And some people, I think if they weren't staying here, would be on the street, to tell you the truth.
Oh, you're doing a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
It's in the DNA of you in the building.
The heart of the home is helping people.
Do you see yourself in these kids?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I see more? Can I tell you? I walk down the halls of Tennyson, and like I said, I see kids in crisis, and I see adults caring for them, and I do sit back at times and say, my God, that is the most beautiful thing in the world, for an adult to care for a kid like that. And that's a path I unfortunately didn't have, but I think these kids do now.